My mom forced me to get tested to help the very sister who betrayed me with my partner, but instead of just confirming whether I could donate a kidney, the results uncovered a devastating family secret my mother had been hiding for decades, shattering everything I thought I knew about my life, my parents, and my place in this family. My mom forced me to get tested for the sister who betrayed me with my partner, but the results exposed the shocking secret she'd been hiding for years. My sister Serafina has been battling kidney disease for nearly 6 months. Initially, she was managing well. She was receiving medical care and staying strong while awaiting a kidney donation. Unfortunately, her condition has recently worsened. Her well-being has declined and physicians now believe she needs a kidney replacement immediately. Because of this situation, my mom has requested that I undergo testing to see if I'm compatible with Serafina, so I can donate one of my kidneys to her. Honestly, I'm uncertain about my feelings regarding this. I have many mixed emotions about this request. Serafina and I don't share a strong bond. Actually, we haven't maintained any relationship for several years. During our childhood, she made my existence miserable. It appeared like she intentionally tried to cause me distress. At school, I was constantly harassed by other kids. I was small for my age, quite bookish, and had weight issues. All of this made me an easy target for tormentors. They would mock my looks, call me horrible things, and regularly take my lunch money. There were even some occasions where things turned physical, and I ended up getting hurt. That's when my teacher stepped in and notified my parents about what was happening. My folks believed Serafina could assist me. Serafina is just 1 year my senior, and we went to the same school. So, she witnessed all of those challenging times when I was tormented. But rather than defending me or attempting to support me, she did nothing to better the circumstances. In fact, she made things much worse. She actually joined forces with my tormentors. Serafina would share private details about me, like what I wore around the house and how lonely I was. She made sure they had all the information they needed to make me feel even more insignificant than I already felt. She would sometimes team up with my bullies to attack me during lunch breaks. They'd ridicule me, tease me, and keep pushing until I broke down. I felt completely isolated. I couldn't comprehend why my own sister, who should have protected me, was so cruel. When I informed our parents that Serafina was tormenting me, she acted completely innocent. She told them I was making it up and that I was either mistaken or overreacting. Despite my protests, my parents trusted her. They urged me to stop accusing her and instead avoid the actual bullies. It was incredibly frustrating because despite my own sister bullying me, nobody believed me. Nobody understood what I was experiencing. When I graduated and went to university, I thought my situation would get better since my tormentors were no longer around. I hoped to begin fresh, and for a time I did. University felt like a new beginning. I even found someone special, Daniel, my first romantic partner. He was kind and respectful, and I cared deeply for him. I brought him home to meet my family, and my parents liked him too. However, Serafina's response was unusual. Serafina appeared thrilled to meet him rather than just polite. During dinner, she flirted with my boyfriend in ways that made me uncomfortable. She made inappropriate remarks about his looks, commenting on his big arms and muscular build, as if it were amusing. At first, I tried to ignore it, thinking she didn't realize how she was behaving. But as days passed, it became clear that she didn't care. She was obviously attracted to my partner and was trying to get his attention. To make things worse, I later found out that Serafina had found Daniel on social networks without telling me and sent him messages saying she wanted to hang out with him. She did this secretly. When I discovered it, I immediately confronted Daniel. I fully expected him to remove her and stop any communication with her. He promised me that he had done exactly that, and I trusted him. I had faith in him. But as weeks went by, I noticed that he became more distant and secretive with me. What I didn't know then was that Daniel had not removed Serafina at all. Instead, he started meeting up with my sister privately. They weren't just talking. They were also having regular intimate encounters. I had no clue about any of this until one of my close friends from university spotted them together. She saw Daniel and Serafina in his vehicle acting like a couple and immediately came to inform me what she had witnessed. Learning the truth felt like a punch to the stomach. For months, I had the feeling that something was wrong. I couldn't explain it, but I had a gut instinct Daniel wasn't being honest with me. When I mentioned it, though, he would manipulate me. He'd call me crazy for being suspicious and say I was imagining things. He made me feel like my doubts were damaging our relationship. But as my friend confirmed everything, I realized my instincts had been right all along. Daniel had been unfaithful to me. The most devastating part was that out of all the people he could have cheated with, it was my own sister. As you can imagine, when I confronted Serafina, everything erupted. We had a massive argument, and I told her how she had completely crossed the line by getting involved with Daniel. How could she be so desperate to get involved with the person I was dating? However, Serafina showed no guilt. None at all. She doubled down and bragged about her actions. She actually boasted about being intimate with Daniel before me, as if it were some kind of achievement for her. There was no apology from her side. This is why I brought up the matter with our parents. I told them everything. How upset I was, how terribly Serafina had wounded me, and how this was about more than just Daniel. It was about her betrayal as my sister. My father was horrified and clearly saddened by what he learned. But my mother's response was different. She said she didn't believe me and insisted on speaking to Serafina and hearing her version before deciding who to support. Her reaction shocked me. What kind of explanation could there possibly be? The facts were clear. My sister had intimate relations with my boyfriend. What more did they need to understand? I felt completely unsupported and dismissed, as if my feelings and pain didn't matter. Even when my mother talked with Serafina, she backed my sister over me. She told me that Serafina claimed to be in love with Daniel and that the only reason she did what she did was because she believed Daniel was the right person for her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I scoffed, telling my mother how ridiculous that excuse sounded. How could Serafina possibly justify her behavior in this way? But my mother's comment shocked me even more. Instead of addressing my pain, she said, "Well, maybe this guy wasn't meant for you. Maybe he and your sister would be happier with each other. I mean, he was too attractive for you anyway. Next time, settle for someone who's more your level. Then maybe he won't cheat on you." I was stunned. It wasn't just that she supported Serafina. It felt like she was directly blaming me for being cheated on, as if I had caused it myself simply by dating someone good-looking. Was she really suggesting I didn't deserve to be with someone handsome? Should I have settled for someone less attractive to avoid being hurt? Up until that moment, I knew my mother favored Serafina. There were signs throughout the years that Serafina was getting more praise, attention, and understanding. However, I had always convinced myself that my mother still cared about me in her own way. Deep down, I hoped that she hadn't completely dismissed me. But after that conversation, it was as if a light switched on. I understood how wrong I had been. My mother's words made it clear that she loved my sister more than me. To his credit, my father scolded Serafina somewhat for what she had done, but it wasn't enough to make a real difference. Despite his initial anger, he eventually supported my sister. My parents seemed more willing to forgive Serafina's betrayal than to defend me. Their reactions made me feel worthless, unimportant, and abandoned. So, after everything had happened, I decided to cut ties with all three of them: Serafina, my mother, and my father. I told my parents that Serafina could have my ex because, in my view, they were both trash and deserved each other. I also made it clear to my parents that by siding with Serafina, they had shown how little they valued me. Their actions and words made it impossible for me to trust or feel loved by them again. I informed them that I was finished with all of them. My parents tried to convince me otherwise, but their arguments were weak. They didn't fight hard to keep me in their lives, which further confirmed my decision. Since then, I've kept my distance from my family. I rarely spoke with any of them, except for the occasional update I got from distant relatives I still talk to. I learned a few years back that Serafina had married my ex. Yes, it was the same ex who had been taken from me. I was disgusted that she was still with him and hadn't found someone better for herself. It also confirmed that I had made the right choice by cutting ties with someone who had brought me so much pain. Anyway, I now live my own life. I'm married to a wonderful man, and we've built a secure and happy life together. I also have an amazing job that I'm proud of. We are content, and I no longer think about my family. So imagine my surprise when earlier this week I received a brief email from my mother. She asked me to call her because there was a family emergency. I hesitated at first, but eventually decided to contact her back. When I did, I learned what the emergency was. It was about my sister's current health condition. I had already heard about Serafina's kidney failure from several of our relatives, so the news wasn't particularly surprising. What surprised me, however, was my mother's request. She asked if I would get tested to see if I was a potential kidney match for Serafina. I told my mother that I'd consider it and let her know. I honestly don't want to. But here's the main problem. My paternal grandparents have gotten involved. They are aware of our family situation, and despite my decision to cut contact with my parents, my grandparents have always been present and supportive. My grandparents say there is no harm in me being tested. They say that if I'm not a match, it's no problem. But if I am a match, I can take my time deciding whether or not to donate my kidney to my sister. Obviously, they want to help, but I am quite uncomfortable with the situation. I'm worried that if I'm a match, my family will put additional pressure on me to donate my kidney. I don't want to feel pressured or guilty about doing something I'm uncertain about. My grandparents are extremely important to me, and I don't want to risk losing their support and love because of this difficult decision. So, Reddit. Am I the terrible person if I choose not to be tested? Update 1. My mother contacted me again, begging me to get tested to see if I could help my sister. This wasn't the first time she'd mentioned it, but I couldn't keep avoiding it or giving her vague answers. I decided to be completely honest, so I told her directly that I was unwilling to do it. I made it clear that I didn't want to get involved with my sister at all, and that was my final decision. I thought being direct might make her back off, or at least give her a clear picture of where I stood. But instead of understanding or respecting my feelings, she pushed harder. She told me she expected me to step up and help my sister, regardless of how I felt about her. In her eyes, it didn't matter what I thought I wanted. My sister deserved a chance at life, and it seemed that I was the one who had to give it to her. Then she said something that hurt. She told me, "Your life isn't worth much anyway." I couldn't believe she was saying that, so I asked her to clarify. Her response was even more hurtful. She told me that Serafina's life is more valuable than mine, because she has a child, while I don't. She made it clear that she thought Serafina's status as a mother made her more important than me. My mother seemed to think that because I didn't have children, my life was less valuable and that it was my duty to do whatever I could to help Serafina survive for the sake of her child. In her mind, my worth was irrelevant. It was all about Serafina and her needs. As if dealing with my mother wasn't hard enough, my father has now reached out to me. He asked me to be tested and told me to do it for him. He said that Serafina might die without a transplant and warned me that if I didn't find out if I was a match, I'd regret it for the rest of my life. His words made it clear that he was putting the burden of Serafina's survival and my future feelings on my shoulders, as if I had the power to change everything and would be making a huge mistake if I refused. Update 2. I got tested despite my better judgment. However, before you all turn against me in the comments, I have something really interesting to share. Despite my doubts and the emotional pressure of the situation, I went ahead and took the test just to get everyone off my back. Part of me felt that I was doing it for my grandparents. They had always been there for me, and I didn't want to disappoint them. But deep down, I needed some clarity, and I hoped that the test results would help settle things one way or another. The results came in, and they revealed two shocking truths. First and foremost, I was not a compatible match for my sister. That in itself was a relief. I wouldn't have to face the difficult decision of donating my kidney to someone who had caused me so much pain. It felt like I'd been released from something that had been weighing heavily on my mind. But the second surprise was completely unexpected. My genetic markers did not match my father's. The results showed that the man I'd always called Dad wasn't my biological father. When I first read the results, I felt as if the ground had been pulled out from under me. I was already dealing with the emotional stress of my family's expectations. But now this completely unexpected bombshell had been dropped on me. It explained so much all the times I felt like an outsider in my own family. However, it was also devastating. The discovery sent shockwaves through the family, resulting in a completely new level of drama that my mother had certainly not anticipated. My father was devastated. He had no idea I wasn't his biological child, and the betrayal hurt him deeply. He's the type of man who has always put family above everything else, and learning that my mother had kept such a huge secret from him was a crushing blow. I could see the pain in his eyes. After all, he is the one who raised me, gave me his name, and treated me as his daughter, just to discover that I don't even belong to him. My mother, on the other hand, was caught completely off guard. She had spent so much time pushing me to help Serafina that she had obviously not considered the possibility of this coming to light. Now she's scrambling to explain herself and deal with the consequences. For me, the discovery feels like both a betrayal and a strange sense of clarity. It explains a lot about how I've been treated over the years, but it also raises new questions. Who is my biological father? Why did my mom keep this from me and my father for so long? Where do I go from here? Did my mother hide the secret from him, too? Could my real father be out there living his life unaware that he has a daughter? Or did he know but choose to stay away? These questions have been racing through my mind nonstop, and they just add to the chaos of what's happening right now. My paternal grandparents have also learned about the test results, and they are devastated. They've always loved me as their granddaughter, and this news has hit them hard. They are demanding answers from my mother just as my father is. But rather than facing the issue head-on, my mother has completely shut down. She refuses to talk to anyone about it. When I contacted her directly seeking clarification, she had the nerve to suggest that the test results were wrong. Can you believe her audacity? Despite everything, she continued to deny the undeniable. I told her that the results couldn't be incorrect, but she insisted on pretending it never happened. Her response left me stunned. She claimed to be as shocked as I was after learning the truth, but her tone made it clear she was trying to sweep everything under the rug. The audacity of her words hurt more than I can express. How could she expect me to act as if this life-changing revelation was insignificant? How did she think she could hide the truth and escape the consequences of her actions? It seems that she is more concerned with protecting her image and avoiding accountability than with the pain she has caused my father, grandparents, and me. Her refusal to take responsibility, her insistence that this is all a mistake that we should just ignore makes my hurt and anger toward her even worse. The revelation has turned my world upside down. I've always felt like an outsider in my family, and now I know why. However, Knowing the reason doesn't make the pain go away. I will provide an update as soon as I get more information. Update 3. The situation has only gotten worse. My dad has decided to divorce my mother. I never thought my parents' marriage would end, but with everything that has happened, I can't blame him. He's heartbroken by the truth, betrayed in ways I can't begin to understand. His entire life with my mother and the family they created has been built on lies. It's heartbreaking to realize that this is the end of something that was once a source of trust and love for him. My mother, after days of pressure from my father, grandparents, and the rest of the family, finally gave in and told us all the truth. I'm not sure if it was guilt, the weight of constant questioning, or just the inevitable truth catching up with her, but she eventually spoke up. It turns out she had an affair with her personal trainer shortly before becoming pregnant with me. She'd been seeing him behind my father's back. The affair lasted only a few weeks. My mother ended it, confident that no one would ever find out, but when she became pregnant with me, she never considered whether I was truly my father's child. She just assumed I was. After I was born, she never verified. There were no tests or questions, just the assumption that everything was fine. My mother believed I was her and my father's child. So, she continued with her life. But the truth is that I wasn't. My entire life, all the experiences I thought defined my relationship with her and with my father now feel like a lie. She never questioned the possibility that I was not my father's child. Instead of admitting her mistake, she concealed it for decades, hoping that it would never be discovered. The way things have played out has been quite ironic. My mother was the one who pressured me to be tested for my sister. And now everything has come crashing down around her. She caused her own downfall by lying, having an affair, and keeping secrets. None of this would have happened if she hadn't kept insisting on testing me and pushing me to help Serafina. But I guess fate intended for me to learn the truth about this. I am glad I was tested now. Mom is dealing with the fallout from it all, and she deserves it. My father is heartbroken. My grandparents are furious at Mom. They all feel deceived and want nothing to do with her anymore. Even my maternal grandparents, with whom I have always had a distant relationship, feel ashamed of what my mother did. They can't believe she's kept such a huge secret from us for so long. Since Mom's confession, everyone around me who had never truly cared about me before has developed a strong sympathy for me. Even distant cousins with whom I hadn't spoken in years have reached out to check in. It's strange, almost as if they're all trying to make up for years of indifference or neglect. But while their sympathy is appreciated, it doesn't change the fact that my life has been completely turned upside down. My mom has lost everything. My father has kicked her out of the house, and she now lives in a motel. She's contacted me several times, asking for money and other help, but I can't bring myself to give her much. I resent her for hiding things from me. It's as if the more I think about all she's done, the harder it is to have compassion for her. My father is currently speaking with a lawyer about the divorce proceedings. I can't imagine what it must be like for him. He's a man who has always put family above everything else. And yet here he is picking up the pieces of a life shattered by my mother's actions. There is a strong possibility that my mother will not receive alimony due to her betrayal. No family, no money, and no support. It is almost poetic justice. Mom is facing the consequences of her choices. And while that may sound harsh, I don't have much pity for her at this point. Now regarding my sister's situation. She obviously still needs a kidney. My parents are not suitable candidates for donation due to their own health issues, and her time window is shrinking. After everything that had happened, I felt the urge to visit her. With all of the drama surrounding my mother's infidelity and the consequences in our family, I wasn't sure how much time Serafina had left. I needed to go see her, even if it was just to say goodbye. When I saw her, I was shocked by how weak and tired she looked. Her condition was clearly affecting her physically and mentally. Serafina surprised me by apologizing for her past, which I never expected from her. She seemed genuinely shocked by the truth of our mother's affair. We both agreed that Mom's insistence on getting me to take the test was absurd. For a moment, it felt like nothing had changed between me and Serafina, as if she hadn't bullied me, and we genuinely enjoyed spending time together. We talked for a few minutes, but I couldn't stay long. Serafina wanted me to meet her child and ex who were on their way to see her, but I knew I wasn't ready to face them, especially my ex. I still needed time to process everything. The emotions were just too much for me to handle. I feel much better about Serafina after that conversation. I no longer hold any resentment toward her. Despite our history, despite everything that has happened, I sincerely hope that she and her family will get through this. I want her to find peace and get the help she needs. Update number 4. It's been 3 months since I last gave you an update on all that has happened. A lot has changed. First and foremost, my parents are now officially divorced. My father has been focusing on rebuilding his life, while my mother has been trying to pull things together in her own way. Though it is clear that she has lost so much, her family, her reputation, and her sense of security. She still lives alone and has been virtually abandoned by the rest of the family. She tried to contact me several times, but I blocked her. I don't care what she does anymore. I've realized that I need to move forward with my life regardless of what happened to hers. Serafina's great news is that she has found a kidney match. Everyone, including myself, is relieved that she will finally get the treatment she needs. She's been through a lot, and I know this transplant will give her a new chance at life. I am not sure if we will ever be close again, but I am happy for her and hope she recovers well. I've also accepted that I will never know my biological father. My mother has refused to give up his name, and I am no longer concerned. Initially, it bothered me. The not knowing, the wondering who he was, if he knew anything about me, and how my life would have been different if he had been there. But now I know it doesn't matter. The answers aren't coming, and I've realized that it's okay to leave some questions unanswered. I can't spend my life chasing someone who isn't in my life right now. My husband has been my rock throughout this. He supported me in ways I never thought possible. Through every emotional breakdown, he stood by my side, giving me strength I didn't know I had. Slowly, I've understood that I don't need to search for my biological father to feel complete. I have an amazing life now, full of love and joy. My marriage, my career, and the life we're building together provide all I need.